Hi, I'm David Holub, and this video clip deals with the subject of making an insurance claim when you've been involved in a hit-and-run collision. Now, there's a little bit of unusual nature about a hit-and-run and collision, and that is that you don't know who the defendant is, the person who hit you, because they've left the scene. And on some occasions, there have been efforts to get license plates and to registration and to track down a person who's fled the scene. And in those cases, a claim can be made against that individual as a defendant and against that individual's insurance company. But I'm talking about right now the pure hit-and-run collision where you have been hit by another vehicle and that vehicle just flees the scene and you have no identification for that vehicle. It's important at that point in time to obtain an attorney, because the claim that you're going to be making would be against your own insurance company if you have the right type of coverage for making that claim. And generally the right type of coverage in Indiana would be called uninsured motorist coverage. So what happens when there's a hit-and-run collision, and how does it trigger your policy? Well, first, most policies require that there be contact between the vehicle that fled the scene and your vehicle. And by that I mean there has to be some physical bumping of the two vehicles, as opposed to the other driver just cutting you off and forcing you off the road with no physical contact. The reason most policies require physical contact is to cut down on insurance fraud and make sure that there's been a genuine hit and then a run. So the key thing to look for is, if there's no physical contact, is there an ability to make a claim? And I would have to tell you, sometimes there is an ability to make a claim, and it all depends on the language of the contract. And there have been cases where a rock has flown up that a semi-truck kicked up and it hit the windshield of a car, damaged the windshield and forced somebody off the road. That is sufficient physical contact depending on the language of the policy. Don't consider your options to be at a dead end if you're involved in a hit and run and the other driver is gone and you don't know who that driver is. Consult an attorney, bring your insurance policy to the attorney, have them look it over, have them try to determine what coverage you have, whether you have the right kind of coverage that it would allow you to make a claim, and do that promptly within a few weeks or a few months following the collision, because the options narrow if you don't do it promptly. Many insurance contracts have certain provisions that are like statute of limitations, but they're deadlines for giving notice of a claim, and some of those are very quick, like within 90 days of an accident, a certain notice of whether you're going to make an uninsured motorist claim or other type of claim has to be given. So don't delay. If you do have a claim or you suspect you have a claim, most attorneys will consult with you free of charge to determine if you do have a case or you don't. Again, we're giving you general advice in these videos, and it's not to be accepted as final advice and something to act upon, but just to help give you some general information and insight as to things you should be thinking about. You're welcome to look at our website in general. We have much more information there in writing, and that you're free to look at your leisure. Thank you.